In the mists of ancient memory, where history dissolves into legend and legend bleeds into truth, there exists a tale of the most sacred realm ever known to humanity. This is the story of Hyperborea, the land beyond the north wind, the gateway to divine wisdom, and perhaps the key to understanding our forgotten heritage. Close your eyes and imagine, if you will, a time when the world was young and the veil between dimensions was gossamer thin. In this primordial epoch, far beyond the reach of Boreas, the fierce north wind of Greek mythology, lay a continent of impossible beauty and transcendent power. The Greeks called it Hyperborea, literally meaning beyond the north wind. But this ancient civilization knew itself by names that have been lost to the churning wheel of time. The Radiant Realm. Hyperborea was not merely a place, it was a state of being made manifest in the physical world. Ancient texts describe it as a land where the sun never set, where winter was unknown, and where the very air hummed with divine frequency. The Hyperboreans themselves were said to be giants in both stature and spirit, beings of luminous wisdom who had transcended the petty conflicts and material obsessions that would later plague humanity. Picture vast crystalline cities that caught and refracted sunlight in ways that defied conventional physics. These structures were not built with crude stone and mortar, but grown from living crystal matrices that responded to thought and intention. The architecture itself was a form of prayer, each building a geometric mandala that channeled cosmic energies and maintained harmony between earth and sky. The inhabitants of this blessed realm were described by classical authors as living for 1,000 years, their lives filled with music, philosophy, and communion with the divine. They were the original philosophers, the first priests, the keepers of primordial wisdom that would later be fragmented and scattered across the globe as mystery school teachings, hermetic principles, and sacred geometries. The sacred geography. But Hyperborea was more than just another lost civilization. It was the nexus point of a vast network of enlightened realms that once graced our planet. Consider the profound connections between Hyperborea and its sister civilizations. Atlantis, the great island nation of the Atlantic; Lemuria, the Pacific motherland; and Tartaria, the magnificent Eurasian empire whose traces still whisper to us through impossible architecture and suppressed histories. These four great civilizations were not isolated kingdoms competing for resources, but interconnected nodes in a global grid of consciousness. Each represented a different aspect of divine wisdom. Atlantis embodied mastery of natural forces and technology. Lemuria preserved spiritual connection to cosmic consciousness. Tartaria demonstrated the union of spirit and matter. Hyperborea served as the crown jewel. The positioning of these realms was no accident. They formed a precise geometric pattern across the Earth's surface, corresponding to sacred points that amplified planetary consciousness and maintained connection with celestial intelligences. Hyperborea, positioned at the crown of this global mandala, served as the primary receiving station for cosmic wisdom and the broadcasting center for spiritual guidance to all other enlightened civilizations. The language of light. To understand Hyperborea's true significance, we must delve into the realm of sacred geometry, the divine mathematics that underlies all creation. The Hyperboreans were the master geometers, the keepers of the fundamental patterns that govern reality itself. Their cities were constructed according to mathematical ratios that created harmony with natural forces and cosmic rhythms. The golden ratio, the flower of life, the platonic solids. These were not abstract ideas but living tools of creation. They believed geometry was the language of God. Certain proportions and patterns could literally open doorways between dimensions and channel divine energy into the material world. This sacred knowledge was woven into their culture. Music was composed to heal and elevate consciousness. Buildings enhanced psychic ability and awareness. Even clothing was designed with protective geometric patterns. At the heart of the civilization stood the central temple, a perfect crystalline pyramid aligned with cardinal directions and pointed toward the pole star. This structure served as both an astronomical observatory and a spiritual transmitter, allowing the Hyperboreans to receive guidance from galactic intelligences. The Great Convergence. The connections between Hyperborea and other lost civilizations become even more intriguing when we examine their shared technologies and spiritual practices. All four civilizations, Hyperborea, Atlantis, Lemuria, and Tartaria, possessed mastery over gravity, sound, and electromagnetic forces. They could transmute matter with thought and intention. They developed crystal-based healing systems and architectural techniques far beyond what our science can explain. These shared abilities point to a single source of sacred knowledge. The Hyperboreans were the origin, the teachers who seeded advanced civilizations across the globe. Migration patterns, shared symbology, and megalithic architecture across distant continents all speak of a common heritage. Crystal skulls in the Americas, the stone blocks of Baalbek, Pumapunku's impossible cuts, and Tartaria's structures, all are fragments of Hyperborean science. They're not isolated marvels, but unified expressions of a once global spiritual science of consciousness. The Twilight of Gold. If Hyperborea was so advanced, so perfect, why did it vanish? What ended this luminous civilization? The answer lies in cosmic cycles. Just as stars are born and fade, so too do civilizations rise and fall, guided by divine rhythms. Hyperborea's era was the Satya Yuga, the Golden Age, a time when divine consciousness flowed freely through humanity. But all things must balance. As the age closed, the Hyperboreans prepared for ascension, not destruction, but transformation. Their departure was not sudden. It unfolded over thousands of years as they gradually raised their vibrational frequency. Their bodies became more ethereal, their cities faded from physical sight, and eventually the land itself shifted into higher dimensions. Hyperborea disappeared from our physical world, but not from memory or from destiny, the hidden inheritance. Before ascending, the Hyperboreans embedded their wisdom into Earth's structure and into chosen souls who would protect it through the Dark Ages. The mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, and India were seeded by Hyperborean adepts. Pythagoras, Orpheus, and others traced their knowledge to the Northern Light. Sacred geometry in cathedrals, hermetic wisdom in alchemy, and esoteric teachings in Tibet all echo Hyperborean origins. Even now, mystics report visions of crystalline cities in the Aurora Borealis. Meditators access memory archives beyond time. Hidden technologies may still lie buried in remote places. Tartaria, in particular, may represent the last physical echo of Hyperborean knowledge. Its architectural feats, global energy networks, and harmonic design suggest something more ancient than we're told. The return. Yet the greatest mystery of Hyperborea is that it may never have truly disappeared. Esoteric tradition teaches that it exists in a quantum superposition, present and absent, hidden and revealed, depending on the observer's consciousness. As humanity awakens to its spiritual truth, the veil between realms thins. We begin to remember the way home. Sacred geometry is re-emerging. Crystal technologies are being rediscovered. Ancient techniques for spiritual expansion are returning. Some say that when collective consciousness reaches a higher threshold, Hyperborea will phase back into visibility. Crystalline cities will shimmer once more. The teachers will return, and the Golden Age will be reborn. Until then, we carry the seed of Hyperborean consciousness within us, a sacred memory of perfection, a call toward the divine. The disappearance of Hyperborea was not the end, but a turning of the wheel, not a death, but a promise. In the field of infinite potential, the gateway to the divine north remains open, waiting for us to remember, in sacred remembrance of what was, what is, and what shall be again.